ultimate competitor, and not in a way that that sometimes people paint themselves as a competitor, and it lets them kind of fly off the handle every time something doesn't go their way. I mean, he has a real competitive process and a confidence about him that he approaches his work with every single day. I've never seen him have a bad day on the practice field, not in terms of the results, but in terms of representing himself in the competitive moment. And so he carries that with him on Saturday. Our kids believe in him and have a lot of confidence in him, and they enjoy having him be the quarterback of our team. And so all of that played out in the way our offense came together, and I thought played a really, executed a game plan, played really effectively. The defense in the moment where we conceded the lead, for the offense to go back on the field the next drive and go score to tie it. We responded from that, and we're inspired by that energy and that moment too. So Diego has a huge influence, as any quarterback does, on our team, and he happens to perfectly represent the program we want to be. I mean, he's smart, he's tough, and he's a guy that's never going to let go of the rope, and that's exactly what we want this program to look like.
And then Virginia Tech, I mean, to be able to shut down Bashal Tootin and that Virginia Tech running attack, you limited them to just 75 yards rushing.
A credit to our defensive front. I thought we really defended well between the tackles, and I think we forced Virginia Tech to the perimeter, and unfortunately we conceded some yards out there in the air. But on the whole, the run game was kept in check. We knew that was going to be important to winning, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that an effective run game is like a good body puncher as a boxer. And when on a hot day in game one, when you're absorbing those body punches in the first quarter, they hurt you then, but they show up later. And the fact that we were able to kind of get out of that kind of game was helpful to us, I think, in the finish. And certainly I felt like our offense was able to generate some of that running game that also allowed us to kind of break through there at the end too. So again, a good team win, and one that we were excited to celebrate. Now we're excited to kind of step into the next climb here that we face this week.
Clark Lea, the head football coach at Vanderbilt, joins us here on the program for a couple of more moments. Can I take you back just slightly to last year? Because I mean, you're playing in the toughest conference in America. That 2022 season, you had 5 wins, and then you had 2 last year. Kind of take us through last year, and obviously now you get a good win for this year, but kind of what was it going on with, maybe with the program on last year?
Well, we had 2 wins our first year, and that team was pretty much all inherited, which, again, I appreciated all those guys and the effort they put in. We just weren't very good, and we weren't good enough to, we lost in the opening game against East Tennessee State that year. We battled back 2 come from behind wins. One was at Colorado State. One was against UConn at home. That's where we were. That was our starting point. From year 1 to year 2, we made significant progress, and we were able to get to 5, winning two games in conference late in the season, and just missed bowl eligibility. And what the message that sent to me was, hey, we're really close. Let's double down on our systems and, continue on this march. And I didn't recognize a need for course change in certain areas. And that didn't really hit me in the face until, we're about midway through last season. And it just, the identity of the team never came into focus. I wasn't able to do enough to kind of get them to overperform where we were. And the wheels kind of came off. And so it was important heading into the off season that I just kind of take a full 360-degree look at our program, where we are. There's a lot of really good things that we had done that we wanted to maintain, and foundation that have been set that we wanted to build upon. But there are also things that we needed to shift and change. And that included the way we trained our team. That included our tactical systems. That included some of our players too. And so we committed to do it, and we did it, and that doesn't mean, look, again, a lot of it makes sense on the back end of a week 1 win, an exciting win, but we were margins away from ending up on the other side of that game on Saturday. I think I think it's more about just knowing that we're doing the right things the right way with the right people. That in time, when you stay in the fight in that manner, the results are ultimately going to reflect the effort, the investment, the love that we put into this. I learned a lot about where we were and where we weren't after last season. That helped me set a course forward that hopefully gives way to a season this year that shows the progress that I think that we've made here internally. And then we just continue that, forward. But certainly last year was painful, but also important when it comes to, again, setting the course for what's next.
Duke, Stanford, Vanderbilt, Howard University. Like, you're talking about some of the more elite schools from an academic standpoint. When it comes to recruiting, some of the guys you're trying to get in the program, is it more difficult to recruit because of those kind of academic standards?
I think that it creates a certain filter that I think can actually help you build a better football team. So I don't see those. I see in fact, the reason I came here and took this job, it's my alma mater and this is my hometown, but I believe in the product of these kind of places where a young person can come and get a holistic experience that actually gives way to a lifelong journey of prosperity, and prosperity not just being financial, but someone who has autonomy and recognizes their ability to have impact and to serve community and to chase passion. Like that's what we're into here. I sometimes we're certain players are eliminated from our board because they haven't shown that they value education, and maybe they're not performing at a level in the classroom that is going to be successful here. But we also don't recruit a team full of valedictorians. We have guys from all different kinds of backgrounds and different demonstrated abilities in the classroom that come here and do really well because this is a place that is supportive. And so we're a smaller campus that your professors know you by name, and we've had demonstrated success, not just graduating our players, but graduating them into careers that they go on to do big things. So I see it as an advantage. I think in some ways, we have to stay committed to that, even though the transfer portal and NIL have shifted some of the strategies around, like player acquisition and player retaining. But for us, it's got to be someone who's interested in the holistic experience, and if they are, then what better place to do that than at Vanderbilt, where you're playing in the SEC, you got a top 15 education, and you're doing it in Nashville, Tennessee. We think that's a pretty unique combination of factors that make us one of one, and as long as I'm doing my job on the football end of things and making football important here and demonstrating progress with respect to a player who steps in our building and he knows he's getting better day in, day out with training, with nutrition, with the tactical design, with the teaching. If I'm doing that, then this becomes a great place to have a great football career, to go on and be a pro for a really long time, to then launch into your long-term impact in life. And that's kind of the design and the vision for what Vanderbilt football can be.
Thank you for that, Coach Lee. Last thought, your thoughts on Alcorn State, your next opponent.
Well, first of all, I've got a ton of respect for that program, and they've had some successful seasons here of late. And my first kind of experience with Alcorn State was growing up in Nashville, watching Steve McNair, and just what a legend and what a first-class human who really was a kind of an idol of mine. As I was a kid here watching him play. And so I always kind of knew about Alcorn and followed Alcorn because of Steve and his legacy here. Obviously they had a disappointing game last weekend, but this is a team that has the ability. I mean, they are disruptive defensively. They know how to, keep from giving up the big play. We're going to have to work to find our explosives on offense. Offensively, they have skilled players that they have unique design to get on the balls, and they have three quarterbacks that they play that all three have the ability to throw the long ball, but also can hurt you with their legs too. This is going to be a game that we're going to have to play with discipline. We're going to have to play to our identity. we're going to have to force them to go the long, hard way on offense. I mean, we got to correct some of the explosives that we gave up against Virginia Tech, because I know they're going to be hungry to play, and it's a proud program that, again, has a good team and has had success here in the recent past. And, we'll have our work cut out for us.
Clark Lea, again, in his 4th season as the head football coach at Vanderbilt. The Commodores 1-0 on the young season, going to host Alcorn State on Saturday. Coach Lea, we really appreciate the time. Continued success to you and the Commodores.
Hey, really great to be with you. Thanks for the time.